Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the first part of my two-part series, which I do for all the new and the full moons at this time. This is the new moon in Libra that is taking place today on the 25th of September, and it's happening here in the UK at 22:54, so that's 6 minutes to 11 p.m. and it's taking place around about 3 degrees of Libra, about 2 degrees 48, so more or less 3 degrees. So if you've got anything at that placement of Libra or any of the other cardinal energies, which is the opposing Aries as well as Capricorn and Cancer around those degrees, then you are going to feel this new moon. If you're interested in any more of the astrology, there will be a link in the description box down below for you to go and check that out for yourselves. It's always worth knowing what's happening on a personal level in your own astrology chart. I always personally think so anyway, so yeah, the link is in the description. So the cards behind me are all about this new moon. So we've got the sun and the moon, and they are together during the time of a new moon. They come together, so they are both at the same degree, and it's taking place in Libra, which is the sign of balance and fairness and harmony and equality. It also depicts the masculine and the feminine energy as well, Libra. It's all about partnerships and relationships. And then we have the planet Venus, which is ruled by, or is the ruler of Libra, should I say. And of course we also have the 7th house, which is where the Libra new moon is taking place. 7th house, again, partnerships, relationships, fairness, balance, marriage, romance, divorce, businesses, all that kind of thing, legality, all come under the 7th house. And also justice, of course, which is a big one for Libra. And it is ruled by the element of air as well, so it's a cardinal air sign. And at this time, I'm just going to start shuffling these cards, and I will just say as well that Mercury is still retrograde. He has just moved back into Virgo, which happened on the 23rd of September, so 2 days ago. So Mercury is retrograde, and so my brain, I don't know about anybody else's out there, but my brain has definitely slowed down, and a lot of things that I want to say or think I'm saying, I'm actually saying something completely different. So if something comes out in the reading that doesn't make any sense, then we'll just put it down to Mercury retrograde, because there's a lot of that about at this time. Things not making much sense at all in our lives and in general. That's too many cards, so I'm not taking all of them. So I'm going to grab a crystal Deva card for us to start off the reading. Once again, all the cards were doused, or yeah, doused. I don't know how else you put that, it sounds a bit odd. Have been doused for. With my dowsing wand, so to make sure that they are the cards that wanted to be used today. And we have the Golden Calcite card here, which looks like a very beautiful crystal. And it says power, number 17, power, golden calcite. So let's see what the message is from the universe here about this particular crystal, which is related to the solar plexus. And the colour of this is gold. So within each one of you is a reservoir of power, a golden orb in the centre of your being in the physical body. It is located at the solar plexus area above your navel. Your higher self moves plans and ideas into this third chakra for empowerment. The solar plexus operates like an engine to fuel your intent and bring your goals into manifestation. The solar plexus works in your physical body like the sun works in the solar system, which is interesting because we do actually have the sun card on the table, but it is in reverse. So it provides the necessary energy and warmth for your inner crops to grow and bear fruit. It is an energy vortex, a dynamo that drives your will. Willpower is not a forceful, aggressive expression. In fact, no force at all is necessary to invoke the power of the will. When you engage your willpower, you tap into a mature reserve of confidence. There is no foot stomping, no tantrum throwing, there is resolve and stability. Not only do you generate your own power, but we blend our golden energy with the solar plexus to gather power for you from other energy sources. For instance, nature in all her abundance is a constant supplier of power. The other kingdoms also freely offer to merge their energy with you. Some people seek to overpower others for selfish reasons. They believe that by gaining control over another, they can take their power for themselves. They will be disappointed. Power that is stolen will not work for the benefit of the thief. Many of you may recall a past lifetime when you remember misusing your power. You may have been a powerful person as society defines it. You had many possessions and much wealth. Others were afraid of you. You may have literally held their life in your hands. Trust us, this is not power. This is subjugation and domination. True power is not gained through intimidation, dirty tricks, or stepping over someone else to get what you want. True power comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and determining a way to get it, without injuring anyone else along the way. Let this be your guide. Ask that whatever it is you want be accomplished only if it is for the highest good of all beings everywhere. Then you will know with certainty that if it comes to pass, it will be a blessing for all. You can invoke your power for good or for ill, just as your thoughts create your reality. Your will creates outcomes. You are still the wizard of ancient times. Spiritual sorcery uses good to effect change. Observe its potency as you see the power of love transform someone's life. Wizard, you are wise. Do not use any distorted motives to create negativity. Use your power to heal and help instead of hurting. Power is a huge issue on the planet and has been since the beginning of time. If you have drawn this card today, you may be having difficulty with a power struggle in your life. It may be over control of your children. It might be in a romantic relationship. It could be work related. Human societies are obsessed with being number one. Your world is based on competition. Many humans get ahead by pushing others behind. The universe functions on cooperation, where every being benefits. The frenzy to be in control of others and the discordant emotions which accompany it are at the heart of the chaos in your world. Change your world by using your power to unite rather than to conquer or divide. Listen to your saying. It matters not who wins or loses, it's how you play the game. Invoke your gentle, kind and strong will to heal yourself, your relationships and your planet. We watch and wait and are with you through it all. We cradle you in the golden light of our love. So that's an interesting start. kind of sums up a lot of what's going on in our world at this time right now, with all this power, literally resources and the power, electricity, gas, all that kind of thing that we're all experiencing, and those who seem to have power over our lives at this time. As I was saying, the Sun card has come out, but it has come out in reverse. So it's kind of, for me, summing up all that this card here has just explained in many ways. It is like, I kind of see it as a dimming of the light when it's in reverse. It's like something's not being recognized or seen properly for what it is. But we have two interesting cards that came out with it over the top. So we first of all had the Devil, and then we also have the Hangman. So this is kind of saying to me that we need to deal with, it is like power again. I mean, the Devil is a card of power. It has control over our lives if we let it have control over our lives. And a lot of this energy is to do with fear. Fear of what other people think or say, or situations we may end up in if we take too much of a risk. Or it can also be to do with obsession. It can also be to do with addictions, allowing things to control our lives in general. Really, it's quite a Saturn related energy. Saturn in Aquarius at this time is to do with the people holding control. It's why we getting a lot of kind of things like censorship and controlling, again, the powers. It's like, this is us down here and this is them up here, and we are kind of like in awe of their control. And we feel powerless as well with the Devil energy. It's like we often feel powerless, like we don't have the ability to break free from something. Particularly with the Sun card in reverse. If the Sun card had come out the right way, I would have said that that was a good sign. That was a good omen. It was like we were in touch with our inner power. But I don't feel as though we are, because this is literally, like I said, in reverse. So this is kind of us. This kind of feels like weakness. Like a weakness, because I said this kind of feels like a dimming of something. But then we also have the Hangman energy that's come out with this as well. And so the Hangman can often be to do with surrendering, to letting go of something. And it came out with these two together as both our blockages and our obstacles at this time. The Hangman also talks about needing a new perspective, or a new perspective on something, a new way of looking at things, a new way of feels like getting down to the root of something in a way, like, because when he's hanging here, he's got nothing else but his own kind of inner thoughts. And he could fight and he could struggle, but it seems that that's going to be, it's like a pointless exercise. Interestingly, this eagle here as well is sent every night. I think it's to eat his liver or his kidney, one of the two. Liver, but kind of springs to mind. I think it's the liver, and liver is also related to fear as well. It's where a lot of fear is stored within the liver energy, within the actual organ of the liver. And of course as well, the liver is also to do with cleansing the blood. So when we kind of get like addicted to things. The liver gets affected. I don't know why I'm saying that, but that's kind of where this is heading. But every night, this is Prometheus. So Prometheus is here on this rock because he stole the fire from Zeus and gave it to the human race and basically changed the direction that the human race was going in, because up until that point the human race was controlled, like down here. And that's again very interesting because that relates to power. Like if you think of resources, fire was our original way of keeping ourselves warm. Now we have to pay other people in order to be able to do that, and that's becoming a big, massive issue at this time as well. And there's a lot of fear around this in itself. Apollo, which is this sun god here, was also, he was also a healer. Very much to do with the arts and creativity. But both of these cards have an element of a kind of a darkness about them. This card especially, there's a kind of real darkness. I always see this as being kind of inner world, the underworld, the subconscious realm, and giving our power away as well. I think that's very important here as well, giving our power away. So over the top in our head, and what we're aware of, is the energy of the Six of Pentacles. Sorry about that glare, that's a bit much. Let's see if I can just turn that light a bit further, that's better. So this is to do with compromise, and it's interesting again because I'm seeing this as a power thing with this king here kind of representing the power, like the leaders, the kings who are like, you know, now kind of sit on these thrones, these self-appointed thrones of positions of power, and it's all about their own greed and what they can, how much they can make. There's no compromise, there's no awareness that without this person here, which I'm kind of being drawn back to this here as well, this kind of like this idea of this person, like this is a kind of slavery energy as well, I'm feeling like, because there's chains, they're chained up and they're tied to their own fear. But this person here is like a lower, I suppose, a peasant in a way, for want of a better expression. But interestingly, in this particular card, although he looks like he's got all the power and all the control, it's actually this guy down here who's on his knees begging, because he is a pauper. He has nothing. He's lost everything except his skill as a carpenter. And this king here actually needs his skill in order to be able to get the job done that he wants done. So although the balance of the power looks as though it's more in his hands, if he actually realised how much power he had, the tables could be turned quite easily, because nobody else in this particular situation actually has the ability to do what it is that this king needs done. And I think that's very true to life as well. It's like that we have so much more power than we actually realise, because we're held by our own fears in a position of kind of surrendering our power, our strength. But if everybody was to stop doing what everybody does, then things would fall apart very, very quickly. And all these people in positions of power would lose those positions of power. And we would see a very quick exchange of energies, not just energies, but of positions. So what's moving away from us, what's been around for a while, and what we've kind of come to terms with in a way, is the Three of Swords. Even though it's in reverse here, there is still some kind of lingering feelings here of betrayal, because in this card, this guy here is this woman's husband, and this is her lover, also his friend. So he's literally kind of betrayed him to the point of no return. He's well and truly stabbed him in the heart. And this is symbolic in many ways of kind of like where we place our trust, who we place our trust in, who have we placed our trust in. We've placed our trust in people that we thought had our best interests at heart. And it turns out that we were very wrong. This is also kind of coming through for me as you know, I keep saying that the swords at this time represent the medical procedure that is being used, and at this time connected to the heart as well. We are seeing huge amounts of heart issues, to put it in kind of okay terms. And kind of like everywhere you go now, there's defibrillators on the streets in certain places that have just kind of sprung up out of nowhere. So there is this kind of connection I feel here as well. Again, this kind of sense of like being betrayed, being manipulated. But there is also a sense with the Three of Swords as well, a sense of kind of a bursting of a bubble. It's like suddenly realizing that how we thought something was, it actually very much isn't. And that there is another layer behind it all. It's like literally kind of suddenly seeing things as they are, rather than how we want to see them or how we believe them to be. So that's the energy that's moving away. And underneath all of this, we also have another reverse card, the Nine of Pentacles. So this is about lack of self-worth. And having lack of self-worth is what gives this energy its control and its manipulation. Because when somebody's confident about who they are and they have power over themselves, this is much less likely to happen. But we've been brought up over centuries to be ruled over by people who basically have just done as they've pleased. And it's still happening today in many ways. Maybe not in quite the same fashion and style, but it hasn't really changed. It's still going on. There's still this you're not as good as me kind of. You're not as worthy, you're not as rich, you haven't got as much as I have, therefore you're less than kind of attitude out there, which we buy into. Mostly, again, out of low self-esteem, lack of belief in who we are. But the energy that's moving towards us is the Wheel of Fortune, and this is upright, and it's saying to me that things are moving, things are changing, things are shifting. But in order for this to happen, we also have to realize that we are also responsible. We need to take responsibility for our actions and stop giving our power away and our self-esteem away. And only by kind of recognizing that we are the ones at the center of this wheel, our own universe, each one of us is the center. And I see these spokes as these kind of radiating thoughts that come out of us. And depending on what we're sending out there, depends on what we get back. So if we're all living in this kind of state of self or lack of self-worth and fear, because fear is much easier. It's much easier to control people when they're in energies or energetically living in fear of what's coming. It just keeps that whole loop going. It just keeps that saying, it's like feeding that devil, literally feeding that devil. But the wheel, as I said, it is upright. So there is this shift, there is this change, and there is this, I kind of always see cave energy, which this is, because there is this cave here. They are inside this cave. This is the three spinners, I believe they are called, the weavers. They represent the maid, the mother, and the crone. So like 3 stages of life. And it also says as well, in many ways, that none of us can escape that ultimate ending. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you are a king with all, or a queen with all the riches of the world at your feet. At the end of the day, you can't take any of it with you. Everybody is equal at that point. When the cord here, which represents the cord of life that holds us here on the earth plane, is cut. When we die, when we move into the next realm, then things change. But there is a big shift coming. I feel as though there is this big shift coming. There is this, we are moving out of a certain mindset as well. And I also feel as well that there's a lot of old energy that is being taken off the planet. A lot of old controlling energy that is being removed at this time. And then we have down below a situation where we are at this time. We have Temperance. Temperance is the goddess of relationships. She talks about the blending, the alchemical marriage, so to speak, of two people together, whether that's masculine and feminine, or two feminine, two masculine. But she has in her hands a gold cup and a silver cup, and they represent the masculine and the feminine. The active, dynamic energy of the gold being the sun energy, and the silver being the receptive, nurturing moon energy, which at the moment, of course, these two energies are together. And it's kind of saying that when things are in balance, when things are flowing nicely, then we have this like beautiful rainbow. It's kind of like the chakras again as well, like with all the chakras in balance. We can reach this kind of, I don't want to say energy of perfection, but there's this kind of sense of something that is beyond like when everything is in alignment. When everything's in alignment and it's all working together. It also talks about communication as well, the Temperance card, about keeping things flowing, like, which is why she constantly pours these cups backwards and forwards, and this liquid backwards and forwards, because it's this constant need to keep things flowing, because without that flow, which is communication as well, like listening to others as well as just saying how we feel, it's that, again, it's that kind of like, I'm being drawn back to this card of kind of like this compromise. Of equality as well, of equal give and take. Again, it's equal give and take is what brings happiness, joy, the Greeks believed that Temperance, the goddess Iris, which is what we see down here, iris flowers, was only existed within a relationship. So in order for there to be a relationship, there has to be this constant backwards and forwards, and this is where we're at this time with this Libra new moon, which is very much about relationships, about balance, about harmony, but also within ourselves as well, of getting it right within ourselves, of getting the balance right between the masculine and the feminine, and being aware that we have both of these sides within us, and connecting with both energies, the masculine energy and the feminine energy, bringing it into balance and harmony, in order to be able to then kind of, what's the word, like not just receive, but also to to give that out as well. There's another word, but my brain, like I said, is dead at the moment. Mercury retrograde, anything could happen. So the Three of Wands is the kind of collective energy of how we're all experiencing what we're experiencing at this time, if you like. And again, here it's interesting because we have this same king. Again, the purple always relates to kind of royalty. It is the higher chakra energy, hence why the crown is placed on top of the head, because it relates to the crown chakra energy. And again, coming back to these chakra colours of the rainbow as well. Alignment and balance. But here we see the king down on his knees offering this crown to this character here, who only has one sandal on his foot. And this is due to a prophecy that the king was told. And the Three of Wands represents what's coming towards us. It's like, I often see it as like, as we go down the river of life, we never know what's kind of around that next bend. We don't know where we're going until we turn that corner and see what's in front of us. But we have to take risks. So there's risks and challenges involved with the Three of Wands. But it's kind of saying that if we don't take risks, then we end up staying stuck. And again, that's when things stagnate, and when things stagnate, they die. Like if you think of a river that's no longer flowing, the creatures that depend on the oxygen within that river will either leave that place or they will end up dying. So it's a bit the same for our creative process as well, because Wands is about the creative process, and it's like after the initial idea of something coming together, it's like then we have to take more or take a risk, and we have to keep taking risks at certain points in our lives to keep pushing things forward and moving forward. In our hopes and our fears, we literally have the Star of Hope. And that's Pandora, with Pandora's box there. It's like after all, going through all this crap, which we have been going through for the last 3 years now. At the very bottom of this box is this Star of Hope, which is also kind of like, if you see there, she also has this rainbow. So that is a sign of things improving, things getting better. In the Bible, the rainbow was the covenant of God. It was put in the sky as a promise of better days to come. So there is this kind of like if we give up on ourselves, if we give up, if we lose hope, then we really don't have much else left. And even though it's really hard, and even though it's like there's all of this crap that we've had to deal with and we're still having to deal with, at the very bottom of this box there is this beautiful star. And I often see it, I mean, it's reflected down here in the water as well, but I kind of see it as a sense of kind of keep looking up, keep looking beyond all of this. Like, look, don't allow this to become the main focus of the attention, because if we do, then that's when we will lose sight of a better future, of what is yet to come. I feel is the message there. And we're ending with 2 cup cards. So again, kind of related to the Libra energy. The 2 of Cups here. And the Page of Cups is a healing energy. It talks about after a time of trauma, difficult situations, painful situations, it's like finding that love within, which I also feel is kind of related to this energy here as well. Yeah, it's kind of like pages are always a young energy. They're always an energy that needs to mature and to grow. And when it's to do with the Page of Cups, it's to do with our love for ourselves, allowing ourselves to trust in ourselves is a big step with the Page of Cups, to trust that love is not going to let us down or hurt us, which with all the relationships that this Libra new moon is kind of focusing on quite strongly, and that's kind of very much in the astrology part of the reading that I will be doing later today. We have the 2 of Cups here, so this is that masculine and feminine energy again. And it's like she's standing on this rock, and she's actually kind of being sacrificed in the story. And this is Eros, so this is the son of Aphrodite, which is Venus basically. So I think the message really here is about trust. The 2 of Cups is about an initial like attraction, but it feels more as though there's a kind of healing of the masculine and the feminine energies within ourselves that needs to take place. And also if you look here as well, the feminine is bound. She's tied up. She can't even reach the cup. So it's like the masculine energy here is free to fly, but the feminine energy is bound. And again, something to do with this kind of sacrifice and surrendering. But I also feel as though it's to do with healing that feminine, healing the feminine, which has been so badly portrayed in history and like demonized. For so long. There's a sense of that. There's a sense of needing to bring that balance of the masculine and the feminine in order for this healing to take place here. Because until we do, it's like everything will remain out of balance. So let's see what else the universe wants to say to us at this time. With the Sun, the Hangman and the Devil energy here. There's also as well with this Devil energy, which I forgot to mention, but if you see there, he has this panpipes that he's playing here. So there's also this theme, if you like, of, because this is Pan, this is also animalistic energy, this is our own animal side of ourselves, if you like, that side that we don't like to acknowledge. So we tend to kind of distort it or bury it or ignore it, but whenever we do that, it tends to kind of come out forcefully and wreck things, wreck our lives somehow, because we're not acknowledging that need within us. It's like raw nature is also how I see this, that kind of like, we may be human, but we're still very much, we are mammals, we are still part of nature. We can't separate ourselves from that as much as we might try. And believe you me, there are people who are definitely trying to do that on this planet at this time. Trying to separate the humanity out of us. So there is a need to acknowledge that as well. But as I was going to say about the pipes here, the pan pipes, it's also about dancing to somebody else's tune as well, and not allowing ourselves to do so, to, like, again, have that control, that power over us, not to dance to somebody else's tune, whether that be the person that we are in relationships with, or family members, friends. So that just kind of popped it into my head there. So what have we got here? The Page of Wands in reverse. So the pages, as I was saying earlier, pages are always young energy, innocent energy, energy that needs to experience life in order to grow. But there's also with this page, because it's about young ideas, creative ideas, particularly when it's in reverse, it's very easy to have those ideas stomped out of us, kind of being told that we're stupid to think that way. That's never going to happen. That's not a possibility. It's that kind of energy, particularly when it's in reverse. And again, it kind of, it's like something that starts off, or has the ability, like starts off small, but has the ability to turn into something much greater. Like I'm seeing it like a small flame that bursts into kind of like a bonfire, which is kind of being signified by this sun card, as if you like, because if you think how bright the sun is and how much heat there is within it, it's kind of, that's how it's kind of coming through. Because the sun is in reverse as well, there's this sense of kind of our creativity being, like, as I was saying, stomped on, or even kind of being held back. like new ideas, new innovative ways of doing things, being just kind of keep getting held back, held down, not being able to turn into more than they should. Because if you see here, his wand isn't a light. So it's like he's needing support. He's needing to find those that will give him that sense of encouragement, rather than those who are just trying to put that flame out. That creative drive, that creative fire and passion. Which is interesting actually, because when I just looked at this as well, as I was saying earlier, this is Prometheus who actually stole the fire to give to the human and change the whole kind of, like if you think how important fire is in our lives and everything that we do with it, if we don't have that drive and that fire and that passion, then we tend to kind of just give up, give in. So there is a connection here between the fire that Prometheus stole and this fire, this kind of idea, this creative idea that is being stomped on. And it feels like something to do with the human inspiration somehow, the human, how it feels is like we've got to a certain point of creativity, and whenever we try to go beyond that point of creativity with new ideas, new innovative ways of doing and being that are going to benefit something, somebody, stops that from becoming a reality, stops that from taking hold, stops that fire from being ignited. So kind of keeps us in the same, at the same level, if you like, rather than being able to rise above that level, is kind of how I'm seeing that. And it's done through fear and intimidation and the idea that we're wrong. So then we have, over the top of the Six of Pentacles, we have the Lover's energy, which is interesting. The Lovers can also represent choice. Again, I'm seeing it very much as this kind of masculine, feminine energy, which is kind of throughout this reading in quite a strong way. Libra is that, I mean, it's the only inanimate object in the whole of the zodiac cycle is the scales, but it kind of represents both the masculine and the feminine. And if you think about it, it's like the balance has been out for a long, long time. On those scales, with this kind of patriarchal, controlling energy. Like the masculine kind of being given more importance, relevance. So again, this idea of imbalance. And again, how it's come through to me just now is if you turn this up this way, it's like he's holding her up and supporting her and elevating her. But if you turn it that way and look at it, it's like he's holding her down. Or holding the feminine energy down, basically. Not just her, but the feminine energy itself. Is what's being held down, held back. And so again, that kind of sense of imbalance, that one has more than the other. One has more rights than the other. But of course, with everything else that's going on at this time as well, this whole kind of blurring of genders, there's also that issue there as well. Again, I mean, it's like literally like it's similar, sorry about this, but just seeing this in a very similar way as I was saying about the female energy being bound here. I mean, if you hold it upside down, which it is upside down, but you can see that he's holding her arm there. And when she's upside down, or when the card is upside down, it is like he is holding her bound so that she can't escape. Again, to do with power. Holding on to that power. Too many, I'm not taking all of them. Not reading all 4 of those. So, and the feminine energy traditionally, of course, also represents nature. It represents Mother Earth. Having the power over nature. And just as I say that, we get the Empress card over the top of the 3 of Swords. Again, that Venus feminine energy. which does represent, again, it represents all the feminine. It represents the female ability to reproduce, to give life. To create. The Empress is always permanently pregnant with potential, because she represents Mother Earth itself, which is always giving, always, constantly. But there is also this kind of sense of betrayal amongst all of that as well. And I remember saying in a reading months and months back, I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was when I was still doing my readings upstairs rather than down here, so it's been quite some time, and I said it's all about the children. And of course it is the female that gives birth. The wounding. But there's also a sense of something returning with that card as well. Because the Empress is upright, it's almost like it doesn't matter what they do or what they try to do to stop that process. It's not possible, because it's not their power. That power is not in their hands. It's way beyond. So, the Two of Pentacles in reverse and the Six of Cups over the top of the Nine of Pentacles, our lack of self-worth. And also this sense of what is success about anyway? Is it just monetary? Which is how we tend to view our success. We view it in monetary terms. We view it in how much we have. Again, that possession thing, which is quite a Venus themed energy. Venus rules what we value. But with the Two of Pentacles in reverse is a kind of sense of it does feel like a sense of re-evaluation, reprioritizing. Because we have these two pentacles here. And it can often be seen as this kind of juggling, trying to keep as much up in the air as we can, kind of being really busy, lots of things to... a bit like spinning plates, like, or juggling lots of balls, like, you know, you have to keep your eye on everything so that nothing drops, nothing falls. You have to constantly be aware. But I also kind of see these two energies as past and future energies. It's like kind of in between two worlds, if you like, in between the past and the present and the future kind of being created all at the same time. And coming to terms with the fact that we can't take it all with us. Again, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't make any difference at the end of the day. There's some things that we have to leave behind as we move into a new future. And also with this Sun card here as well, I do tend to see this gate as this kind of moving from one, not necessarily dimension, but this kind of old energy into a new energy. It's like going through a gateway. It's like leaving something behind, leaving a past behind. So we're kind of at this gateway as well, if you like, but we're kind of stuck there because we've got all this old energy that is still, that we're still hanging on to, and it's hanging on to us at the same time. So there's this hi, that's my daughter just coming home. Yeah. Cheers, I won't be long. The Six of Pentacles here, oh sorry, the Six of Cups here is talking about past situations as well, because the Six of Cups is represented by childhood, its memories. Nostalgia. But there's also a sense with the Six of Cups as well that whatever has happened in the past doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen again. It's like a acceptance with the Six of Cups. Like looking back on our lives, accepting, and that's how I'm kind of seeing this as well. It's like something needing to reevaluate this energy here. Of course, we have got Mercury and just about every other planet in retrograde at the moment, apart from Mars and Venus, which is interesting because they are the masculine and the feminine energies as well on a lower level of relationships. So there is something that we're needing to let go. There are things that we need to accept and kind of move on from, but we're still in that place of kind of juggling and deciding and reevaluating and not quite ready to. I also see this as kind of reprioritize our values. As I was saying, what is success? What do we value? Because this is about self-esteem. And often our self-esteem can get knocked during our childhood. So there's a nostalgic, could even be a nostalgic kind of longing for the past, for something, you know, kind of tinted glass, kind of pink rose glasses kind of view of how life was previously, which isn't necessarily going to be true, but it's kind of like compared to where we are at the moment, it seems so much nicer. And it probably was when we were younger and everything was so much easier. And also, of course, we didn't have responsibilities like you have when you become an adult and have to kind of make choices. And which path are you going to go down as well? So this is all in the subconscious. So this is all kind of bubbling away underneath, and we may not even be aware of where this is coming from or that it's even happening at this time. But there is this kind of need to move forward, which of course is being reflected in the Wheel of Fortune here as well. The shifting of energies, this letting go. And again, that responsibility, becoming responsible for our own thoughts, our own actions. And we have the Six of Pentacles come out again. So that's kind of given an extra emphasis to this energy of compromise, balance, harmony, goodwill. But again, it can also okay, so there's this kind of sense with this Wheel of Fortune and things shifting of this kind of more magnanimous energy. Because this isn't a king, but it's somebody who's in a position of wealth, who has the ability to help out others. And so there's this kind of sense of community, or this sense of sharing of wealth needing to be equal, of equality. Of equality is what's coming through, of equal balance, of equal fairness. Because the system that we're in at this time is far from a fair system. Far from. And that's not just to do with being male or female. That's also to do with those at the top. Keeping those at the bottom. Again, it's that kind of sense of that pyramid. The idea where things are supposed to trickle down to those less worthy. And again, I feel that, you know, as long as we stay stuck in that position of feeling like we're not worthy, there can be, with the Six of Pentacles, there can be a meanness to it, like a sense of like better than. But I'm not kind of getting that from this card today. I'm getting it more to do with kind of like a magnanimous, like it's kind of like those at the top falling to the bottom and those at the bottom rising to the top kind of energy. But then there's also the question of once you get to the top, what do you do? Do you become the same as those who were at the top previously and carry on? in the same kind of vein, keeping things as they've always been? Or do you take your experiences of life that may have been full of difficulty and hardship and turn them into something much more, what is the word I'm getting? There's a word, there's always a word. There's a word and I can't think what it is. It's not philanthropy, it's not that, but it's similar. Something along those lines. Benefactors? Becoming benefactors, maybe? And helping out those who have less? There's something about that. Something about that energy. So, we have the Temperance card with the Knight of Wands, which is interesting because it's kind of carrying on from this Page of Wands energy. It's also in reverse. Again, that spark, that fire, that drive, that passion. If you see here, his wand is just beginning to spark into life, whereas this wand is totally without any inspirational thought or creative drive. This wand is just starting to have some spark there, something igniting that thought process, that creativity, that drive. And the Knight of Wands is somebody who is very good at ideas, inspiration, but they are very easily distracted, very easily very easily distracted by other things. It's like they're not somebody who can see something through to the end, like the Page of Pentacles, who doesn't give up at all. The Knight of Wands, or the Knight of Pentacles, should I say, the Knight of Wands jumps from one thing to the other. It's like the grass is always greener on the other side. So there's this sense of kind of not sticking with something, not having the ability to stick with something, and this could also be to do with relationships and family as well. Not seeing things through to the end. Knights are to do with messages. I'll put another card on that quickly. I'm not sure what that's trying to say here. Could also be to do with wanting quick results, is what I'm being told. Wanting quick results, whereas the, whereas the Temperance energy, if you see here, she's like passing this cup backwards and forwards, it's constantly done. There's a patience within this card as well. There's a kind of acceptance of like, this is what needs to be done in order to get, as I was saying, that kind of alchemical marriage of something that is kind of perfect in a way, if you like. It's kind of trying to make the perfect recipe, concoction, getting it right kind of energy. But this kind of feels like it's an energy of not hanging around, not like yeah, like leaping from one thing to the next without putting much thought into the process. Whereas we also have the Eight of Pentacles. So this is about kind of dedicating yourself to the process, dedicating to a long-term idea or plan, or working through things to the end, putting your resolve into something. So this is kind of saying to me that it's all well and good to have this kind of creative fire and passion and drive, but we also have to channel it into something. We also have to put it into something worthwhile, something concrete. Because if we don't, we just end up with lots of like half-finished things, half-finished projects, things that aren't fully developed if we don't put our heart and soul fully into something. And I'm being told fully kind of into ourselves. Fully into ourselves, because we are the best creation there is. Constantly working on ourselves rather than being distracted all the time. Because another thing with the Knight of Wands as well is he can be somebody who's looking for like quick results, like fame, fortune, something that he doesn't have to put his time and energy and effort into. He just wants like spontaneous now, very much kind of in the moment, but very short moments, if you like, very kind of changeable. So the Three of Wands is covered by the Queen of Wands in reverse. There's a lot of reverse fire energy here. So it kind of feels again a bit like suppression, especially seeing as it's over the top of this Three of Wands, where this is all about risk taking and challenges. But the Queen of Wands is an energy of confidence. When she's upright, it's very confident energy. It's about being very sure of ourselves. But when she is in reverse, it feels like an energy of, well, this kind of same energy here, really. Lack of self-worth, lack of self-confidence. Possibly also taking risks again, risks that are not in our favour. Risks that could lead to more danger rather than chances. Chances are different to risks or challenges. It's kind of saying be careful. Of where we put our, again, trust, a sense of trust. Be careful where we put our trust threes are like an initiating energy in many ways. I also feel with this Queen of Wands as well that there's something hidden, there's something being hidden here that we're not being able to see. A lot of this fire energy is being subdued. A lot of this fire energy is being kept. And this could also have something to do with the resources. Again, a lack of belief in ourselves, a lack of belief in what we deserve. Will just lead to more lack. Where we focus our attention, because the Queen is very magnetic. She is a visionary as well, the Queen of Wands. She does have the ability to manifest. When she's upright, she'll be manifesting positively from a place of strength. Sorry about that, 2 cards fell on the floor. But when she's in reverse, she is manifesting, because she's always manifesting, and that's the point of it as well, that we are always manifesting, whether we know it or not. And again, it depends on where we're putting our attention, our focus of attention at the time, with this Wheel of Fortune. But in our hopes and our fears, we have 2 more reverse cards. We have the 6 of Wands, which is to do with returning from a victory, but when it's in reverse, it's this, again, this kind of seeing all the worst is what's coming through. It's like this bit here, it's like the battle, being in that battle, coming back, and the battle that we've been kind of fighting in many ways is kind of like an unseen enemy. And it's much easier if you can see your enemy and you know what you're fighting than if you don't know what you're fighting and you don't really know what you're trying to overcome. Because we have Temperance here as well, again in reverse. So again, this kind of brings out more of this same energy. Temperance twice. And this Temperance is more, this is more dynamic. Again, we have the silver and the gold cup there, with the energy flowing in between. It's in reverse. The fire and the water in this particular case, the fire being the gold, the water being the feminine, sun and the moon energy again. Active, dynamic versus the, well, it doesn't, well, not versus so much, but the active, dynamic and the passive, receptive energy. So again, there's this sense of, again, I'm getting this sense of like not knowing your enemy. And getting worn out by it. It is to do with this energy. It's to do with the masculine and the feminine energy that is being Well, it feels like it's kind of being, I want to say, abused. That there's this fight, if you like it's like, again, but it feels like there's something in the background. It's something that we're not, that is taking place in the background that we're not overly aware of. This is just hopes and fears, so it's not a reality, but it feels like, you know, something that could become a reality. And we have the Eight of Wands in reverse to finish the reading, with the Page of Cups and the Two of Cups, the Eight of Wands being messages. So we've just come off, but how I'm seeing this is this, like, this healing here between the masculine and the feminine, and these messages that are being passed between the energies, but these messages are kind of misfiring, or they're not getting to the right place, if you like, or there's something that's not being spoken even. It's like these are wands or arrows. It's like they're being let loose, or they're being kind of fired out, just kind of without thinking. This could also be Mercury retrograde, but it could also be to do with the Mars and Venus square that we've had recently, where the masculine and the feminine have been squaring off with each other, which hasn't been a good energy for relationships in general. Again, that Mars energy, the Venus energy, the Mars energy being much more kind of dominant and warlike, aggressive, whereas the Venus energy is much more passive, as I was saying, much more a gentler energy, which is what I get from this energy here. Like, this is a much more gentle temperance energy, as opposed to this one here, which has much more of a kind of fiery, dynamic sense to it. So this is what's coming in. This is the final ending here, and it feels like a sense of missed communication, or miscommunication, like things are not being heard properly or said properly, or they're being misunderstood. Whatever is being said is literally being misunderstood. And again, this goes back to the idea of the masculine and the feminine being very different energies, and how things are interpreted can be very different between both the genders and the sexes. And this could also be that Mars-Venus square energy as well. Mars wanting to dominate. Because Mars is also an energy of power as well. Yeah. We've got the Knight of Swords here as well. So it is about communication, messages coming in fast as well. Quick messages. And like rapid, like a lot of it, like a lot of information being taken in, but not necessarily actually being understood somehow. Whatever the message behind it actually is kind of not being grasped, because it's coming from like the masculine and the feminine ideas of things. So it's kind of like the feeling side and the more action, logical side of the mind as well. So there's going to be a lot of information coming in, and the way that we interpret it is going to depend on how we understand the world, whether we understand it in a more feminine feeling sense, or whether we understand it in a more, as I was saying, active, dynamic, logical minded sense. And that could also cause more conflict as well. But there is a healing that needs to take place here. There needs to be more unity between the masculine and the feminine, and an understanding of both sides. So let's see what other messages the universe would like to give us very quickly before I finish the reading. That one seems to be falling out here, so I'm going to take this one. My creative power. That seems very apt, very appropriate. I recognize the creative power of my thoughts. I know that I can use them to build or to destroy. Today I choose to use my thoughts to create a universe filled with joy and harmony. I will maintain a positive attitude. I have the power to create love and peace. Well, that's probably a good message to end on after what I was just saying about the misinformation and very beautiful card. It does look a bit like the sun and the moon there as well. And of course when the sun and the moon come together, they do hold that sense of balance and harmony. And they are communicating with each other. So lastly, I'm just going to have a quick Namaste card which says blessing without borders. In essence, we are living energy flowing through the ocean of human consciousness, spiritual beings moving through cycles of life, birth, death and rebirth. We are all interconnected and in communion with each other. No matter how much physical space appears to separate us, feel the blessed presence of someone you love this moment in your heart. That's a beautiful message to end on. There is no space. If you think about this person or whichever person you want to think about in a positive way, then you are creating, it's like building a bridge and sending positive, loving thoughts. Yeah, I have the power to create love and peace. So even if there is this disharmony, an overwhelming amount of information that is being interpreted by ourselves in different ways, ultimately everything is connected. It is like that tree. It's like the roots underground are very similar to the branches above. It is all interconnected. So that's where I'm going to leave the messaging or the reading and say I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that you've got something out of it. I hope that it may have given you some insight, some clarity, some understanding, some maybe even some peace of mind at this time of this new moon in Libra, where the world seems to be going slightly insane and out of alignment, and definitely needs to be brought back into balance and harmony and alignment at this time. So with all that being said, I'm going to wish you all the best and say thank you very much. But before I do, could I just also say please subscribe to my channel, please like, thumbs up. The more thumbs up I get, the more likes, the more the platform knows that people are interacting with my readings as well, so it's more likely to kind of to put it out into the mainstream, so to speak, the more people who are joining me on my channel as well. And thank you very much to those of you who have recently joined my channel. I really do appreciate it very, very much. You being here and just listening to what I have to say really helps me to feel as though I'm doing something that is worthwhile at this time. And yeah, just want to say thank you all very much. Wishing you all the best for this new moon in Libra. Try and keep some balance and some harmony and some peace, and hopefully I will see you all later. Take care.